When Greek fighter jets conducted joint exercises with Serbian forces last year, NATO headquarters went silent. No press releases. No official statements. Just quiet diplomatic pressure on Athens to explain why a NATO member was strengthening military ties with the alliance's primary Balkan adversary. Because what happened in those skies over Serbia wasn't just a training exercise, it was a public demonstration of an alliance that threatens to fracture NATO's southern flank and reshape the entire balance of power in the Balkans. An alliance built on Orthodox brotherhood, shared enemies, and a mutual understanding that sometimes your fellow Christians matter more than your treaty obligations. Welcome to Doctrine of War, where we examine the alliances and rivalries that actually determine who holds power, regardless of what official documents say. The relationship between Serbia and Greece represents one of the most significant yet underanalyzed strategic partnerships in Europe. Two Orthodox nations that share neither a border nor formal military alliance, yet coordinate on everything from defense policy to diplomatic strategy in ways that consistently undermine Western objectives in the region. Today we're examining why this relationship exists, how it functions despite Greece's NATO membership, and why Western powers are desperately trying to break a bond that's proven stronger than any alliance treaty. And what you're about to discover is that religious and cultural solidarity can create strategic partnerships that formal alliances can't replicate and can't destroy. The Orthodox bond, more than just religion. To understand why Serbia and Greece maintain such close ties despite enormous pressure to separate, you need to understand that Orthodox Christianity isn't just a shared religion. It's a shared civilization, a common historical experience, and a worldview that fundamentally differs from Western European Catholicism and Protestantism. This matters for strategic analysis because it creates bonds that transcend rational calculations of national interest and resist the kind of transactional pressure that works on relationships built purely on economic or security incentives. When Greek and Serbian leaders talk about brotherhood, they're not using diplomatic pleasantries. They're referencing 1,000 years of shared struggle, mutual support, and common identity that Western analysts consistently underestimate because it doesn't fit neat realist frameworks. The Byzantine inheritance is the foundation of everything else. Both Serbia and Greece see themselves as inheritors of the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantium, which preserved classical civilization, developed Orthodox theology, and created a distinct Eastern European cultural sphere that never fully integrated into the Latin West. When the Byzantine Empire fell to the Ottomans in 1453, it wasn't just a political collapse. It was the end of the civilization that had shaped Serbian and Greek identity for centuries. The Orthodox Church became the institution that preserved that identity through Ottoman occupation, making religion inseparable from national survival. Serbian and Greek clergy didn't just minister to souls. They preserved language, maintained education, and organized resistance against Muslim domination. This creates a historical memory where orthodoxy equals survival, and Orthodox solidarity means mutual protection against existential threats. The Ottoman experience is the second pillar of this relationship. Both Serbs and Greeks spent centuries under Turkish Muslim rule, experiencing periods of relative tolerance mixed with systematic oppression, cultural suppression, and periodic massacres that remain vivid in national memory. The Serbian defeat at Kosovo in 1389 and the fall of Constantinople in 1453 aren't ancient history to these nations. They're foundational traumas that shape how Serbs and Greeks view the world. And crucially, both nations achieved independence through armed rebellion against the Ottomans, creating national myths centered on resistance, martyrdom, and ultimate liberation. When Serbs and Greeks look at each other, they see fellow survivors of a common enemy, nations that understand what it means to fight for centuries against overwhelming odds to preserve faith and identity. This shared history creates practical solidarity in the present. When Serbia faces pressure over Kosovo, Greece is one of the 5 EU countries that refuses to recognize Kosovar independence, despite enormous pressure from Brussels and Washington. This isn't because Greece has strategic interests in Kosovo. It's because Greeks view Kosovo as sacred Serbian territory in the same way Serbs view Greek claims to Macedonia and Cyprus as legitimate regardless of international pressure. When Greece faces Turkish aggression in the Aegean, Serbia provides diplomatic support and refuses to align with Turkey despite economic incentives to do so. This mutual backing isn't transactional. You don't see explicit quid pro quo deals where Greece trades Kosovo non-recognition for Serbian support on Aegean disputes. The support is automatic, assumed, and unconditional in ways that make it far more reliable than alliance commitments that depend on formal votes and can be withdrawn when politically convenient. The religious institutional connection reinforces state-to-state ties. The Serbian Orthodox Church and Greek Orthodox Church maintain close relationships, coordinate on theological and political issues, and create people-to-people connections that complement official government cooperation. When Serbian Patriarch visits Greece or Greek Archbishop visits Serbia, these aren't just ceremonial exchanges, they're opportunities for coordinating positions, reinforcing solidarity, and demonstrating to domestic audiences that this relationship transcends whatever governments happen to be in power. Religious pilgrimage creates constant flows of Serbs visiting Mount Athos and Greeks visiting Serbian monasteries, building cultural familiarity and mutual affection that makes hostile policies toward each other politically impossible for either government. The contrast with Western Christianity is crucial for understanding why this relationship troubles NATO. Catholic and Protestant Europe has largely secularized to the point where Christian identity plays minimal role in foreign policy. When France and Germany coordinate, they're not thinking about shared Catholic heritage, they're calculating economic and security interests in purely secular terms. But Serbian and Greek foreign policy explicitly incorporates Orthodox identity in ways that seem archaic to Western observers but that create genuine strategic solidarity. This means that Western attempts to use economic pressure or security incentives to separate Serbia and Greece run into cultural and religious resistance that doesn't respond to rational incentives the way Western policymakers expect. If you're starting to see why the Serbia-Greece relationship operates on fundamentally different logic than typical alliance politics, you're understanding exactly the kind of analysis Doctrine of War delivers. We examine how culture, religion, and historical memory shape strategic behavior in ways that realist theory misses. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're about to examine the specific ways this Orthodox alliance functions in practice and why it's driving NATO strategists crazy. But first, let's talk about the military and diplomatic coordination that makes this more than just cultural affinity. The practical manifestation of Serbian-Greek solidarity shows up in consistent patterns that have held across different governments and political situations. Greece systematically blocks or dilutes EU and NATO policies that harm Serbian interests, provides diplomatic cover for Serbian positions on Kosovo, and maintains security cooperation that strengthens Serbian capabilities despite this theoretically undermining Greece's own alliance commitments. Serbia reciprocates by refusing to align with Turkish positions on any issue where Greece and Turkey are in conflict, provides diplomatic support for Greek claims in Macedonia name disputes and Aegean territorial issues, and maintains friendly relations that give Greece an Orthodox ally in the Balkans that counterbalances Turkish and Albanian influence. The Kosovo non-recognition is the most visible element of Greek support for Serbia. Despite being both EU and NATO member, Greece refuses to recognize Kosovo as an independent state, maintaining that Kosovo remains Serbian territory under temporary international administration. This position costs Greece politically within EU and NATO, creates friction with the United States, and provides no obvious material benefit to Greek interests. But Greece maintains this position because Serbs view Kosovo as sacred territory, the spiritual heartland of Serbian Orthodoxy where critical monasteries and churches remain under threat from Albanian Muslim majority. For Greeks, this isn't about abstract international law principles. It's about defending Orthodox Christian heritage against Islamic expansion, a concern that resonates deeply given Greek history with Ottoman Turkey and current tensions with modern Turkey. The military cooperation operates in ways that blur the lines of what's acceptable for a NATO member. Greek and Serbian armed forces conduct joint exercises, exchange military personnel for training, and coordinate on defense procurement in ways that transfer technology and expertise to Serbia that NATO generally wants contained. Greek officers visit Serbian military installations, Serbian officers train at Greek facilities, and both militaries study each other's tactics and capabilities with a level of transparency that NATO allies rarely extend to non-NATO partners. These exchanges aren't just ceremonial, they're substantive transfers of knowledge that improve Serbian military effectiveness, which is precisely what NATO wants to prevent given that Serbian forces could potentially be used in operations contrary to NATO interests in Kosovo or Bosnia. The Air Force relationship deserves special attention. Greece operates advanced NATO aircraft including F-16s and is acquiring F-35 stealth fighters, while Serbia flies Soviet-era MiG-29s and hopes to acquire more advanced Russian aircraft. The technological gap is enormous, but Greek pilots who train alongside Serbian counterparts provide insights into NATO tactics, capabilities, and procedures that Serbian forces wouldn't otherwise access. When Greek F-16s conduct exercises with Serbian MiG-29s, Serbian pilots learn how NATO fighters operate, what tactics they employ, and potentially what vulnerabilities they have. This information sharing isn't formally sanctioned by NATO and almost certainly troubles alliance officials who recognize that anything Serbian pilots learn could potentially be shared with Russian advisors or used against NATO forces in future Balkan contingencies. The intelligence sharing adds another dimension that's harder to document but strategically significant. Greece and Serbia coordinate diplomatic positions in ways that suggest information sharing about Western intentions, EU and NATO decision-making processes, and specific policy initiatives that affect both countries. When EU considers new sanctions or conditions on Serbia, Greece often seems to have advance warning that allows it to prepare blocking actions or diluting amendments. This suggests Greek officials are providing information to Serbian counterparts about internal EU deliberations, which technically violates confidentiality norms even if it doesn't breach specific legal obligations. But from Orthodox solidarity perspective, warning fellow Orthodox Christians about Western pressure campaigns is seen as moral obligation rather than betrayal of alliance commitments. The economic dimension complements political and military cooperation. Greek businesses invest in Serbia, creating economic interdependencies that give both countries material interests in each other's success. Greek banks operate in Serbian market, Greek companies participate in Serbian infrastructure projects, and trade between the countries continues growing despite neither being major economic partners for the other. This economic cooperation isn't primarily driven by profit calculations. Greek businesses could find better returns elsewhere, and Serbian market is relatively small. The investment happens because political will pushes economic actors to build connections that reinforce broader strategic relationship, with both governments encouraging business ties as way to deepen overall partnership. The diaspora connections create additional layers of people-to-people ties. Significant Serbian populations live in Greece, and Greeks maintain historical communities in parts of Serbia. These diaspora communities serve as bridges that maintain cultural connections, create political constituencies in both countries that favor close relations, and provide networks that facilitate everything from business deals to intelligence sharing. When Serbian government wants to communicate positions to Greek government outside formal diplomatic channels, diaspora networks provide alternative routes. When Greek officials want to understand Serbian public sentiment or political dynamics, community connections provide insights that official reporting might miss. The common enemies, Turkey and Albania as unifying threats. Beyond positive bonds of Orthodox solidarity, the Serbia-Greece relationship is strengthened by shared threat perceptions, particularly regarding Turkey and Albania. These aren't abstract geopolitical concerns. These are specific, immediate security challenges that both countries face and that create natural incentives for coordination regardless of cultural or religious affinities. The enemy of my enemy becomes my friend, and when both nations face the same enemies pursuing the same revisionist objectives, alliance becomes logical strategic choice rather than just emotional or cultural preference. Turkey represents the existential concern that dominates Greek strategic thinking and creates natural alignment with Serbia. Modern Turkey under Erdogan has pursued increasingly aggressive neo-Ottoman foreign policy, challenging Greek sovereignty in the Aegean, supporting Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus against Greek Cypriot government, and generally acting as regional rival that threatens Greek security interests. Greek military spending and force posture are overwhelmingly focused on potential conflict with Turkey, with scenarios ranging from limited confrontations over maritime boundaries to full-scale war over Aegean Islands or Cyprus. This creates a situation where Greece, despite being NATO member, views fellow NATO member Turkey as greater security threat than any external adversary, fundamentally undermining alliance cohesion and creating incentives for Greece to seek security partnerships outside NATO structures. The practical coordination against Turkish influence manifests in multiple ways. Serbia and Greece coordinate diplomatic positions to oppose Turkish initiatives in Balkans, support each other's positions on disputes with Turkey, and share intelligence about Turkish activities in the region. When Turkey supplies drones to Azerbaijan that were used against Armenian forces in Nagorno-Karabakh, both Greece and Serbia condemned these actions and strengthened ties with Armenia, creating an Orthodox Christian coalition against Turkish-Azerbaijani military cooperation. When Turkey sends military advisors and equipment to Kosovo or Bosnia, Serbian intelligence tracks these activities and shares information with Greek counterparts who have their own concerns about Turkish military reach extending into Europe. This creates an informal intelligence partnership focused specifically on monitoring and countering Turkish activities. Albania represents the second major shared concern, particularly for Serbia but increasingly for Greece as well. Albanian nationalism encompasses not just the Albanian state but ethnic Albanian populations throughout the Balkans, creating the Greater Albania concept that would unite Kosovo, parts of Serbia, Western Macedonia, southern Montenegro and northwestern Greece into a single Albanian state. This territorial revisionism threatens both Serbian and Greek territorial integrity, creating obvious common cause against Albanian expansionism. The fact that Albania is predominantly Muslim and closely aligned with Turkey adds religious and geopolitical dimensions to what might otherwise be just territorial disputes, reinforcing Orthodox solidarity as defensive mechanism against perceived Islamic expansion. Kosovo is the immediate flashpoint where Serbian-Greek coordination matters most. Greece's refusal to recognize Kosovo independence isn't just symbolic. It has practical effects on Kosovo's ability to join international organizations, sign agreements, and achieve full statehood recognition. Every time Kosovo applies for UN membership or seeks to expand international recognition, Greece stands with Serbia in opposing these efforts, using its EU and NATO membership to block consensus and maintain Kosovo's limbo status. This diplomatic support is invaluable to Serbia because it comes from within Western institutions, making Serbian position seem less isolated and giving legitimacy to arguments that Kosovo independence isn't universally accepted even among Western democracies. The demographic concerns add urgency to shared threat perceptions. Albanian populations have higher birth rates than Serbian or Greek populations, creating long-term demographic trends that favor Albanian territorial claims. In Kosovo, Albanians are overwhelming majority. In Western Macedonia, Albanian minority continues growing. In northern Greece, though smaller, Albanian immigration increases Albanian presence. Both Serbian and Greek nationalists view these demographic trends as existential threats, creating what they see as slow-motion territorial conquest through population growth rather than military force. This shared demographic anxiety reinforces cooperation aimed at containing Albanian political influence and territorial expansion, with both countries viewing current borders as defensive lines that must hold against demographic pressure. NATO's dilemma: when alliance members undermine alliance goals. Here's where the Serbia-Greece relationship becomes a genuine strategic problem for NATO rather than just an irritant. The alliance faces a member state that systematically undermines alliance objectives in the Balkans while maintaining plausible deniability through claims of protecting Orthodox interests and exercising sovereign foreign policy. NATO can't expel Greece without devastating consequences for alliance cohesion and Mediterranean security. But NATO also can't accept indefinite Greek support for Serbia when that support strengthens a non-aligned state that coordinates with Russia and obstructs Western objectives. This creates a dilemma with no easy resolution, and every attempt NATO makes to pressure Greece into abandoning Serbia seems to strengthen rather than weaken the Orthodox bond. The fundamental problem is that NATO membership obligations don't explicitly prevent the kind of cooperation Greece maintains with Serbia. Greece isn't providing weapons that would violate arms control agreements. Greece isn't conducting military operations on Serbia's behalf. Greece is simply maintaining diplomatic, economic, and security relationships with a non-hostile state, exercising sovereign foreign policy in ways that are technically permissible even if strategically inconvenient for the alliance. When NATO officials pressure Greece to distance itself from Serbia, Greek officials respond that they're maintaining historically important relationships and aren't violating any treaty obligations. The argument is legally sound even if strategically problematic, and it puts NATO in the awkward position of demanding loyalty beyond what's formally required while having no mechanisms to enforce such demands. The timing of Greek-Serbian cooperation often seems calculated to maximize NATO discomfort. When NATO wants to pressure Serbia over Kosovo, Greece announces new economic cooperation agreements. When Western powers push for Kosovo's admission to international organizations, Greece coordinates with Serbia to oppose these efforts. When NATO conducts exercises designed to demonstrate alliance readiness near Serbian borders, Greece announces joint training with Serbian forces. This pattern suggests deliberate signaling, Greece demonstrating that it won't subordinate Orthodox solidarity to alliance preferences, and Serbia showing that it has support within NATO itself that limits how far the alliance can push anti-Serbian policies.